Yeah, yeah. One day, when the war is won, victory will be yours.
Victory's gonna be ours.
It'll be yours. One day, when the kingdom comes, it'll be yours. It'll be yours. It's a long way up, and a short way down. Just don't let nobody come and take your crown.
Take your crown.
Trying to make it through the system, but the doors are locked. The Most High got you covered. You're gonna rise to the top.
We're gonna rise, y'all.
This battle will bring victory. On with the greatest book in history. Check up your grade, it's no mystery. Yeah, yeah. You know this battle has just begun.
Battle's just
Check
begun.
up, you're hated by everyone.
All
But
nations
just remember
hate us.
you're the chosen son. Yeah, yeah.
This song is such an inspiration. We get the kingdom though there's much tribulation. Every day I send my prayers up. I even read where Yahweh said he'd raise us up. He gave Abraham the covenants. On the shoulders of Christ will rest the governments. The forces the nations gotta bring to me. The world is ours, our gates open continually. Praise Yahweh cause he gave us life and sacrificed the reward as you could reign with Christ. Yeah, it's true, the Father made us sons to get a crown, then endure until the Savior comes. In the sight of God, no man is justified. To be approved, I read that gold must be tried. In the end, we're the greatest folks in history. Malachi sing to them about our victory.
This battle will bring victory.
We're gonna get the
On with the
victory.
greatest book in history.
Bible's
Check
the
up your
greatest
grade,
book.
it's no mystery. Yeah, yeah. You know this battle has just begun.
Battle has
Check
just
up, you're
begun.
hated by everyone. But just remember you're the chosen son. Yeah, yeah.
We give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, for giving Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob the covenants, and for choosing our nation. We appreciate that. I hope this song inspired you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Before I ever knew you knew me, you chose me. Before I ever knew my purpose, you molded me. Looking at my past indiscretions, I'm thinking I'm dirty. I'm so dirty. Broken pieces, some are missing. You're saying I'm worthy. I'm still worthy. Focus on my everyday survival. Living my life in captivity. I was not prepared for what came next. My judgment, is this life worth it? Before I ever knew you knew me, you chose me. Before I ever knew my purpose, you molded me. have been dead, bullets in my head. How many times will I defy you? But you still call my name. You still call me. Creating me a clean heart. Oh yeah. If I deserve it, fix what is broken. Release what I'm holding. 'Cause my life was hopeless, yes it was. But your love's been my focus. It's so perfect. Before I ever knew you knew me, you chose me. Before I ever knew my purpose, you molded me. 'Cause you love me, you shaped me, you molded me. You chose me.
All right. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. And of course, I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. I want to say peace and blessings to all the brothers and sisters that are in attendance. Everybody knows what tonight is. I don't have to tell you. Everyone already knows what tonight is. You don't need me to tell you, right? So, as usual, as the teachers in Israel, we have a job to do, right? That's to come before the people. Not necessarily that everyone is going to watch the video today. Some people watch it today, some will watch it tomorrow, and some people will stumble across this video in the future. So it's like a timestamp in history. You never know when somebody's going to, come on YouTube looking for one thing and they find something else. So we're going to run it down, again, like I told you guys yesterday, and like I told my academy this afternoon, some things are just repetition. Repetition is always good to confirm understanding. So we're going to run this whole New Year's thing down. We're going to run it down really quickly, and we're not going to be before you too long if it be the Most High's will, all right? I always tell you guys, I'm going to try not to be long-winded, and sometimes I am. I think I got through Christmas in about 2 hours. So we're going to see how I do on this one right here, okay? With that being said, I see Elder Zahab just came in, so Shalom, Mark, what's going on?
Hey, Shalom, King. Shalom, I'm here, man. All praise to the Most High. Go ahead, you got it.
Yeah. So without further ado, brothers and sisters, it's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so I'm just going to run this down. I'm not going to be before you, brothers and sisters, very long, so you guys can go back to doing what you're doing for those of y'all that are here live with us right now. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the PowerPoint, and we are going to get started. All right. Okay, so for anyone that doesn't know by now, January 1st is just as pagan as Christmas in terms of it being celebrated as the New Year. That's not by happenstance. That's on purpose for a lot of reasons, some of which we're going to touch on in this PowerPoint this evening. So what you guys are looking at is the god Janus, the god of endings and beginnings, right? He's the patron god of Rome that represented the month of January, or the so-called New Year's. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go to the next slide. Now, how many people know what Freedom's Eve is? That's where you get the whole idea of watch night. What is that, right? So let's just pretend that nobody in attendance knows that we're all going to learn what Freedom's Eve is together. All right? 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. That PowerPoint is a little bit out of order. I kind of want to change the order of the slides just a little bit. Okay. Put that right there. Okay, good. Here we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's watch this video and we can see what is Freedom's Eve. What is that? And why is it important? Let's go. And I'm going to give some commentary as we watch the video together. Let's go. And Elazab, of course, if you have anything you want to say, you can always jump in as well. Real quick. All right. The volume comes up slow, guys, so just pay attention. It's coming now.
On the night of December 31st, 1862, as America was in the midst of a civil war, blacks who had freedom living in the United States gathered at churches or other safe places while thousands of their enslaved black sisters and brothers stood, knelt, and prayed on plantations and other slave-holding sites in America, all for the same purpose. They waited anxiously for President Abraham Lincoln to sign the Emancipation Proclamation into law.
So now we got to stop right there. So the purpose of them meeting at these churches on December 31st was not because they were celebrating the new year. That's not why they were meeting at the church. They were meeting at these churches and other meeting places to celebrate or to await Abraham Lincoln signing the Emancipation Proclamation. That's how this custom of so-called watch night service or Freedom's Eve started. How many churches are teaching their congregations that when they're meeting in church tonight for watch night service or Freedom's Eve? They're not telling their congregation members this, especially not the black ones. They're not. Let's keep going.
This act began the tradition of watch night service among the black community in America. It symbolizes the historical fact that on September 22nd, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, a document which legally recognized that the Civil War was fought for slavery, and the end result brought an end to over 300 years of human bondage in the United States. Unfortunately, this ritual would not be known or practiced by the slaves of Texas for another 2.5 years. As Southern slave owners struggled desperately to maintain their standard of living, they continued on in open defiance of federal law until June 19, 1865, when Union Major General Gordon Granger arrived on the island of Galveston, Texas, to take command of more than 2,000 federal troops who had recently arrived in Texas to enforce the emancipation of its slaves and oversee a peaceful transition of power.
So Juneteenth is related to December 31st, not because of any other reason than slavery and the so-called end of slavery, or at least chattel slavery, via the Emancipation Proclamation. That's why these blacks were meeting in these churches and other places. It was one of the few safe places where they could meet, and white people really didn't have a problem because at the end of the day, they still were worshiping white Jesus, so they really didn't mind that. It had nothing to do with celebrating New Year's whatsoever. But these black churches don't teach their congregations that, though. Let's keep going.
Additionally, nullifying all laws passed within Texas during the war by Confederate lawmakers. It might surprise you that long before it was known as a watch night service, Black congregations, especially those in the South, already had a tradition of gathering on New Year's Eve prior to the Emancipation Proclamation.
Listen to this, guys. Even prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, Black people would gather in church on December 31st every single year. But why? Listen.
According to Valdosta State University history professor Dr. David Williams, Blacks often met on New Year's Eve because New Year's Day for many Black people in the slave era South was known as Heartbreak Day.
So it was known as Heartbreak Day. It was known as Heartbreak Day. Why? Let's keep going.
New Year's Day was often the day when slaveholders sold slaves, when families, parents, and children, husband and wives were separated permanently. Slaves gathered on New Year's Eve because that may have been the last time many families had the opportunity to be together.
So we don't have to watch the whole video. You guys get the point. December 31st, the tradition, in America at least, was celebrated by Black people every single year as Heartbreak Day, because in the beginning of the year, in January, a lot of slave masters would sell off their relatives, so forth and so on, and that was probably the last time many of them would see each other. Then the tradition continued on because Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and December 31st was now the day before the proclamation actually went into effect, so they met in the churches to commemorate that. Where do we see that they got together to watch the daggone ball drop confetti in the church and have a party? We don't see that. But that's what the churches are doing right now. Let's go to the next slide. That's why they were meeting in the 1800s on December 31st in church. Why they do what are they doing now? Well, let's watch together.
Angels coming in Jesus' name. In the name of Jesus. Well, it's 2 minutes to a new year. So I want you for 1 minute to just begin to magnify God. And then we use the last minute to do a countdown. Come on, begin to magnify Him. Come on, begin to magnify the Lord.
So no teaching, no history lesson. No, this is the reason why our ancestors gathered on December 31st. None of that. Just rhetoric, entertainment, and feel-good BS. That's all it is. Period. That's all it is. Let's keep going.
Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Who will not serve a God like this? He's bigger than the biggest. He's greater than the greatest. He's mightier than the mightiest.
If you were to ask any of these people on the stage anything about that history, they couldn't tell you.
The healer, He's deliverer, He's our salvation, our joy, our healer. A for Alpha, B for bread of life, C for Christ, D deliverer, E the Alpha.
So now he's up there saying his alphabets, but he ain't teaching the people nothing. Let's go.
F for God, G for in Jesus' name, in the name of Jesus. I want you to begin to give God a big clap of. Give Him a clap of. Give Him a clap of. Come on, magnify. Somebody bless His name.
See, that's what our people like. They like that, boy. You get some good music. You get some good songs. You get the pyrotechnics at the back. You get all that good stuff, but you don't learn nothing. You don't learn nothing.
Amen. All right, let's count. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And after all of that, you leave the church, just as ignorant as you came in, not even knowing what the custom was created for to begin with. That's the sad part. And these are the people that will come to camp and argue with us. Let's go to the next slide. And there's this too. First thing you guys should notice in this video, they got all the pagan symbolism of Christmas up on the walls, the wreaths and everything else. If you asked anybody in this church where the custom of these wreaths come from, they couldn't tell you. Don't look like they learning nothing about that history either, huh? Oh, they getting the concert, boy. Your boy got some lyrics. He got some lyrics. We got some raps, but you ain't learning nothing. Why spend a bag at the club? You know, because New Year's Eve, everybody knows when you're in the world, New Year's Eve, you go to the club, especially the women get in free. The women get it free. But the men, they might charge you $100 to get in that night. The bouncer, the club might be charging $50, and the bouncers put an extra $50 on top of that, man, to make some money for themselves since they have to work. Why go there when you get a free concert at church? The same thing, but you ain't learning nothing. Same thing you see in the clubs. What's the difference? Same thing you see in Times Square. What's the difference? You guys get the idea. And they leave out of there just as ignorant as they came in. You ask any of these black people about that history of Freedom's Eve and Watch Night and Heartbreak Eve, they couldn't tell you anything. But they'll sure as hell come to the camp and argue with us and curse us out and tell us we don't know what we're talking about. This is the condition of our people. This is what we're up against. So really quickly, I went to dictionary.com so that we can all see together that the custom of celebrating New Year's is a new thing. Because even going back to ancient Rome, you guys can see that on the ancient Roman calendar, the 10th month was December. See the origin of December. It says the 10th month of the early Roman year. Apparently, des, which is the root word or the prefix for 10. It's the 10th month, not the 12th month. Let's go to the next slide. Now, the custom of the day starting at midnight comes from Rome. See, what these people in these churches don't realize, let's take it from the beginning, from the inception. You had the Roman Catholic Church, right? Then you had the breakaway during the time of the Protestant Reformation, where you had a lot of people that left the Roman Catholic Church, but they took the Roman Catholic Church's dogma and doctrine for the most part with them on the way out the door, including this. The Church of England, as I've gone over before, Henry VIII, when he broke off from the Roman Catholic Church because he wanted to divorce his wife and the Pope said no, he started his own church called the Church of England, but he took that doctrine with him. So in essence, really, if you're celebrating New Year's Eve at 12 midnight on December 31st, you are just following what ancient Rome was doing, whether you realize it or not, because the origin of a day starting at midnight comes from Rome. So this is a book that we have here called Roman Antiquities, or an account of the manners and customs of the Romans. And we are on page number 332. We don't have much reading to do here. The day among the Romans was either civil or natural. The civil day, which is dies civilis, was from midnight to midnight. So the Romans celebrated the day from midnight to midnight. That's where America gets it from, because America's Rome all over again. So you're following behind ancient Roman customs and practices, whether you realize it or not, especially if you're in a church. But try telling one of these Christians that. They ain't trying to hear it. They don't care. They saved and sanctified. That's all they know. They don't need to know anything. Crazy. We were all there. We should give the Most High all praise and honor that the Most High brought us out of these things. You know, that we had a mind to actually listen when the truth was presented to us. And when we saw that it was the truth and it was undeniable, the Most High brought us in. All praise to the Most High for that. Because many, many people have desired to see the things which we see, and they can't see it. And it's right in front of them. That's the sad part. Let's go on to the next. Because these books, if I could find it, anybody could find it. If you're looking for it, if you're seeking it. Let's go to the next slide. So, more proof, besides the fact that America starts its day at midnight like ancient Rome, of course, you know, the architecture is also proof that America follows behind ancient Rome, right? You have the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument right here. I mean, yeah, the Lincoln Memorial, Salakia, right? And you guys can see the Roman architecture and the way it's built. And of course, you have ancient Rome, and you can see the way it's built. It's literally built the same way as ancient Rome, right? More proof again that America is ancient Rome as well is the names of our months. So as you guys could see, the names of our months, January is from Janarius. January is from Janus, Roman god. February is from Februa, Roman god. Mars is March. Aphrodite is April. So forth and so on. Juno is June. July is named after Julius Caesar. August is named after Augustus Caesar, right? And then September, the root word is 7. October, the root word is 8, like an octagon, a stop sign. It's an 8-sided thing, right? You have November, that's the 9th month. In Spanish or in the Latin, you say nueve, that's 9. And then the root word for December is deci, which is 10, like a decimal point. So even the words themselves show you that America is patterning itself after Rome. That's what they're doing. And if they're patterning themselves after Rome, we just saw, let's go back a little bit and let's refresh our memory. We just saw, according to the dictionary, where is it? That December is the 10th month. It's only the 10th month, which would make January really month 11 and February month 12. And then around March, early April, that's when the new year comes in. The calendar itself teaches you that. Furthermore, if you look at your legal terms that they use in court, these legal terms all go back to ancient Rome. That's the reason why a lot of people, when they go to court, they're at a loss for what the courts is actually talking about, the terms that are actually being used, right? Like the color white in legal terms is not the same as the color white in layman's terms, so forth and so on, right? So you don't even know what these words actually mean because there's a legal meaning or legalese. And a lot of those words go back to ancient Rome. The judge sits on a bench, right? The bench in Latin is the name banco, right? Because the judges actually work for the banks. That's why they adjudicate all these fines and penalties on people when you go to court for minor things. Why? Because the judges really work for the banks. They bring you to court for not completely coming to a stop at a stop sign, assign you $100 ticket, and you go to court for that $100 ticket, and you got to pay it. If you go to fight it, you got to pay it, right? And that money is going to the government, to the municipality. That's what's happening because these judges work for the banks. But it's all encoded in the word. Let's move on to the next thing. This is an image of Zeus enthroned. Did you guys know that there's also a monument for George Washington? George Washington enthroned. Do you guys see that right there? George Washington enthroned and Zeus enthroned. Because America is patterning itself after the Roman Empire. It's an open secret, meaning most people don't know, but they're not hiding it. You just have to know a little bit about history. So you're celebrating your New Year's Eve and everything else around you And the society is all based on ancient Rome. If you did a little bit of studying, you would know that. Let's go to the next slide. Guess who else sits like that? Baphomet. Baphomet. Sitting just like George Washington and just like Zeus. Let's go to the next slide. So who is the Roman god Janus, who the month of January was named after? Janus is the god of beginnings, gates, transitions, and time. Another name for Janus, because a lot of these deities, depending on what society you guys go to, they have different names, but they're all the same deity, just remixed depending on what region of the world that you're in. And all these deities go back to ancient Egypt and furthermore to ancient Babylon. So Janus being the god of time is another name for Janus would be Kronos, right? It'd be Kronos. Kronos is the god of time. Same god, just a different name. Let's go to the next slide. Now let's get into the history of Janus real quick.
Janus is a deity of Roman mythology, the son of Apollo. According to some versions, Janus was born in the Thessalian region in Greece, but left for the region of Lazio, located in current Italy. There, he was welcomed by the mythical king Camese, with whom he divided the power. Janus edified several cities, and, according to some Roman myths, Janus welcomed the god Saturn after his banishment from Greece by the hands of Jupiter.
We gotta stop it right there. Let's go back. We missed something. Watch. Listen again.
Some Roman myths, Janus welcomed the god Saturn after his banishment.
Janus welcomed the god Saturn. That's going to be important later on in the PowerPoint. Janus welcomed the god Saturn. Don't think that Christmas alone is Saturn worship. No, Christmas is a part of Saturn worship, but watch this. New Year's Eve and New Year's on January 1st is also Saturn worship. It wasn't one day. It was an extended period of time. Let's go.
Banishment from Greece by the hands of Jupiter. Saturn would be the equivalent of the Titan Cronus of Greek mythology. And, as a form of gratitude for being welcomed, the old god began the golden era of mankind. During this period, men started to live in a world of extreme happiness and abundance. Cronus also blessed Janus, giving him the power to know the past and the future. Janus was the deity accountable for teaching men how to use boats, and also introduced them to coins. After the end of his life among the men, Janus became a deity. As a god, he would be the deity responsible for protecting doors and gates. This god was depicted with two faces and had a key in his hands. When he opens a door, the god unleashes a new cycle, and this can be a new cycle of harvest.
So when he opens the door, he unleashes a new cycle. He's the god of beginnings and ends and times and so forth and so on. And that's the reason why they put the new year around this time. It's all calculated. The powers that be of the society, they know these ancient histories, right? And so they pattern their society after these ancient histories because these are the deities that they actually worship and venerate. That's what they do. And they prey on the ignorance of the people that the people will never go back. And how many people outside of people that go to colleges and universities sit down and actually read books or watch videos about ancient history to try to really understand what ancient history was about? Not many. Outside this truth. We do it because we're in the truth, so we want to know. But outside this truth, people that aren't going to college, they're not trying to learn this stuff. So they're not worried about that. The people will never know. It's an open secret. Let's go to the next slide. So as we went over before, these are the meanings of the months. This is what they actually mean, all right? We went over that a little bit earlier. We don't have to continue doing that, all right? Now, September is 7. That's what it is, okay? It says, this is from dictionary.com. It says, according to the original Roman Republic calendar, September was the 7th month of the year rather than the 9th month as we have it today. The Roman calendar was only 10 months. Let's go to the next one. October, 8. October was the 8th month of the year rather than the 9th month like we have it on our calendar today. November, meaning 9. November was the 9th month on the Roman calendar, not the 10th month like we have it today. And as we know already, December was the 10th month. The word Decem means 10. So why do they have December on our calendar at this time in this society being the 12th month of the year? Because they got the people fooled. They want you to celebrate New Year's at a particular time because it's during the time of Saturnalia, not just the December 25th, but this entire cycle is the worship of Saturn, and they know it. And that's the reason why they have it at this time of the year. Saturn worship, right? How many people know about the Calendar Reform Act of 1582? Have you guys ever heard of that before? The Calendar Reform Act of 1582. So prior to 1582, we operated under what's called the Julian calendar. That's what most people operated under. But the calendar was reformed in 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII. He's the one that reformed the calendar. Let's go to the next slide. So let's go ahead and let's watch this video about a little history on that in case it's new to you. Let's go.
Have you ever wondered why we celebrate New Year on January 1st? Well, it wasn't always so. There's been a lot of toing and froing over the past 2,000 years before this date was consolidated. Welcome to Intrigued Mind, where today we will go back in time to discover why January 1st is the day that we celebrate the coming of a brand new year. The earliest recorded celebrations of New Year's were made by the Babylonians in around 2000 BCE. These ancient people held a festival that went on for several days in honor of the rebirth of the natural world. They called it Ekita, and it took place at the beginning of spring. By the time of
So in the ancient world, the Babylonians, they actually worship the New Year's in the spring. They worship the New Year's in the spring. Okay. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. So that's how it started out. Right? Let's continue.
Rome's legendary founder, Romulus, the Romans had developed their own calendar based on the phases of the moon. It is believed that the Romans developed their lunar calendar using knowledge that came to them from the Babylonians and the Greeks. However, this 305-day-long calendar, which was based on the 10-month-long phases of the moon, did not match with the solar year. 365 days ran closer to 12 months. At this point in time, the Romans celebrated New Year during the vernal equinox, which is one of the 2 days each year when day and night are of the same length and generally falls around March 20th in the northern hemisphere. Enter Numa Pompilius, who according to legend reigned from 715 to 673 BCE as the second king of Rome after Romulus. It is Numa Pompilius who is credited with the establishment of a fixed calendar. This calendar used calends, which was the first day of the month, and is where we get the word calendar from. Nonis, which was the 9th day before the Ides of each month, and Ides, which was the day that fell roughly in the middle of each month. The leftover months that had not previously been accounted for in the old calendar were simply known as winter, and the calendar year commenced in March, which coincided with the start of spring. Numa Pompilius added 2 extra months so that the length of the calendar now matched the length of a solar year. The first month was named Janus, after the Roman god of time, transitions, beginnings, and endings. The second month was named Februarius, in reference to the purification ritual that the Romans undertook on the 15th of February each year. Thus, the calend was the first day of January, which was the first month. So it made sense that the first day of the new year was on January 1st. This concept, which was loosely adhered to in Rome, was consolidated in the year 153 BCE, when January 1st was chosen as the day on which the new consuls of Rome were inaugurated. This was during the years of the Roman Republic, when the position of consul was the highest-ranking political office in Rome. So, it was an important day for the Romans. By the time 46 BCE rolled around, there was a new sheriff in town, so to speak. Just don't mention the Ides of March. And Julius Caesar was the head of the Roman Empire. Caesar worked with Greek mathematicians to fix an error in the calendar. There were too many leap years, so these were reduced to one every 4 years to use up the leftover time from the 365 days that made up 1 year, which was 0.25 days. After this amendment, it took 455 days to get things back on track, but they got there in the end. January 1st was still considered the new year, and with the expansion of the Roman Empire, this custom was adopted throughout Caesar's vast lands.
So a lot of the nations followed behind the Romans in celebrating January 1st as the new year. So remember, it started off in the ancient Babylonian Empire all the way back, going back to the beginning. Their new year was, because the Babylonians were the first major civilization after the flood, right? When you go back and you read Genesis chapter 10 and Genesis chapter 11, they were the first civilizations to spring up and become great after the flood, right? And they celebrate a new year in the spring. By the time we come now down thousands of years later, the Romans are celebrating the new year January the 1st. And when their empire expanded, a lot of nations started following behind them.
Once the Roman Empire collapsed and Christianity took hold throughout Europe from the 4th century CE onwards, the custom of welcoming the beginning of a new year on January 1st was cast aside in favor of a date that was sacred to this new religion, March 25th, the day of the Annunciation.
So now what happened was, once the Roman Empire fell, right, a lot of European countries started celebrating the New Year's in the springtime again. That's what they started doing, right? Let's go.
When the Archangel Gabriel appeared before the Virgin Mary to tell her of the Immaculate Conception. Indeed, the liturgical calendar was now the most important calendar to Christians. January 1st was not an important feast day for this religion, so they did not mark the coming of the new year with this date. This liturgical calendar was predominant throughout Europe in the early medieval period in terms of special days, used alongside the Julian calendar to mark the passage of 1 year. It was not until the year 1582 that the Pope at the time, Pope Gregory VIII, decided that the Julian calendar needed an overhaul. Up to this point, the number of leap days in the Julian calendar was still causing problems, especially at Easter time, which was supposed to fall on the Sunday after the first full moon.
That's why Yahushua has to come and restore things. That's why we always tell y'all, brothers, don't really get caught up on when you see people with, like, holy days. They might be a couple of days apart, depending on what camp it is. Don't really get caught up in that stuff, because Christ got to come back and put all the stuff in order, because the calendar's been out of order since Esau has been ruling. It's been a yo-yo effect back and forth with them moving the new year from the spring to the winter, to the spring, to the winter, so forth and so on, moving from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. It's just been a lot of confusion. So Yahushua has to come and restore all these things. We just have to keep the commandments to the best of our ability and try to track the holy days to the best of our ability. That's the best we can do. Let's go.
To the vernal equinox. Incidentally, this was the same time that the ancient Babylonians celebrated Akutu, the festival of rebirth. Just as Easter is the time of Jesus' resurrection, Christianity always tried to match their important times of the year with pagan celebrations to make the transition from paganism to Christianity more appealing. But that is a story for another video. Back to Pope Gregory. He had his calendar printed and issued in a papal bull, which meant it was canon law, and therefore had to be adhered to. This papal bull stated that January 1st was once again to be considered the first day of the new year, and it listed all of the feast days in the Christian, now Catholic, calendar in order, from January 1st up until December 31st. However, by this point in time, the Catholic Church was not the only Christian superpower in town. Italy, Spain, and Portugal had no problems getting on board with Pope Gregory's new calendar, but Protestant countries shirked the use of the Gregorian calendar, because why should they adhere to something issued by a Catholic Pope? So the Protestant countries of Europe, Britain, and the British colonies stuck with the Julian calendar. Incidentally, even today, the Eastern Orthodox Church still uses the Julian calendar. Finally, in the year 1751, the New Style Act calendar was issued in Britain, which declared that New Year's Day would be celebrated on January 1st. This calendar was an act of the British Parliament. Lord Chesterfield was the man behind it, and he had the good sense to see that it was time for Britain and the British Empire to adopt the Gregorian calendar.
In other words, he was a puppet for the Roman Catholic Church is what he was. Crap.
This papal bull stated that it's getting on board,
so
that New Year's Day would be celebrated on January 1st. This calendar was an act of the British Parliament. Lord Chesterfield was the man behind it, and he had the good sense to see that it was time for Britain and the British Empire to adopt the Gregorian calendar. This calendar was also known as the Chesterfield Act, or the British Calendar Act of 1751. It was declared that this act was for regulating the commencement of the year and for correcting the calendar now in use. The New Style Act calendar changed the start of the legal year from March 25th to January 1st.
So you guys could see, we ain't got to watch the whole video, because I guess you guys could see the yo-yo effect is what I wanted you guys to see, how the New Year's kept bouncing back and forth throughout antiquity. We know it should begin in the spring. The earth itself shows you it should begin in the spring. But of course, the Bible tells us the white man would change times and laws. And that's what he's done. That's what he's done. Let's go to the next slide.
Did you know that?
Okay. Now I'm in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, and we are looking up the month Abib, right? Zondervan Illustrated Bible Dictionary. We're going to look up the month Abib, right? It says Abib means ear or grain. It's the name of the first month of the Hebrew calendar. This is important because the Bible is a Hebrew document. Every prophet of God that was sent to the children of Israel, from Moses all the way to the last book that was written by John the Revelator on the island of Patmos, they were all Israelites. So they were all observing the new year in the spring, in the month of Abib. So the question would be, if the Christian church is based on the Bible and the prophets and the word of God, why would your new year be December 31st and not in the month of Abib, like the Bible, like the prophets, like the children of Israel? Why not? That's the question. Let's go to the next slide. What is an April Fool? You guys have heard of that before? April Fool? In the world, a lot of people celebrated April Fools, did April Fools jokes, so forth and so on. But there's a deeper history to April Fools than what you think. Let's go to the next slide. April Fool's Day's origin, and it's important. Watch this.
Today on the Daily Dose, the history of April Fool's Day. While the exact origins of April Fool's Day remain shrouded in debate, some historians have speculated that April Fool's Day dates back to 1582, when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, as mandated by the Council of Trent in 1563. Since the Julian calendar places the new year on April 1st, people who were slow to get the news or failed to recognize that the new year had moved to January 1st became the butt of jokes and hoaxes when dullards continued to celebrate New Year's on April 1st.
See, we were taught as children it was just for pranks. Ha, April Fools. No, there's a history behind that. If you were still celebrating after the Roman Catholic Church in France moved the New Year's back to January 1st, the people that did not go along with it and stayed celebrating the New Year in the spring like it's supposed to be, you were called an April Fool. That's the history. That's where it comes from.
Frenchmen in the know would place a paper fish on the back of ignorant revelers, calling them Poisson d'Avril, or April fish. Other historians have linked April Fool's Day to ancient Roman festivals such as Hilaria, which is Latin for joyful, when people dressed up in disguises and mocked both average citizens and magistrates alike. Still others have speculated that the day was tied to the vernal equinox, or first day of spring in the northern hemisphere, when Mother Nature frequently fooled people with changing, unpredictable weather. Despite these competing origins...
So you guys saw what you needed to see. Like, I don't have to play the whole video. The point is the origin of that comes from France, because the calendar was bumping back and forth. It was the same yo-yo effect that we've been talking about. It was moved from the winter to the spring during the time of the Julian calendar. And then when Pope Gregory became Pope, they had the Council of Trent. They moved the New Year back to January 1st. And the people that didn't go along with it, they were called April Fools. You were considered a fool for not following behind the Catholic Church, when the Catholic Church are actually the fools. So when is the biblical New Year? It's the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Exodus, the 12th chapter, is when the Israelites exited Egypt. The Most High said, it shall be the first month of the year to you. What month is that? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee out of the land of Egypt. So the Israelites exited Egypt. The Exodus took place in the month of Abib, which is the first month of the year. So what the Christians should be doing is they should be searching for when the month of Abib is, because according to the Bible that they claim that they believe in, that's when the new year actually is. So when you look up that word Abib in the Hebrew, Abib means ear or green ears of corn. In other words, this is the time of year when your corn starts to ear or earing. That's not going to happen on January 1st. It's too cold. Even in the Middle East, even in the Levant, it's too cold. So you're not going to be growing any type of crops, or your crops are not going to be earing or sprouting on January 1st. That's common sense. So that cannot be the new year. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 18 through 22. It says, the feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep. 7 days. Remember, the feast of unleavened bread is another name for the feast of unleavened bread is what, brothers and sisters? The Passover. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep 7 days. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee in the time of the month of Abib. And in the month of Abib thou came out of Egypt. Verse 19. All that openeth the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. But the firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with a lamb, and if thou redeem him not, then shalt thou break his neck, and the firstborn of thy sons shalt thou redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the seventh day thou shalt rest. In the earing time and in the harvest time thou shalt rest, and thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. So this feast of unleavened bread takes place in the earing time, which is in the month of Abib. Earing time, but when the crops are sprouting, right, is not January the 1st. So the Bible is giving you the clues. If you just take the time to actually sit back and read what the text is saying, it's telling you when the new year is. The problem is that most people go to church to be entertained, to get some good singing, to feel good, and to hear what it is that they want to hear. That's it. And so that's what the preachers give them. Because if they don't give the people what they want, the people are not going to give the preachers the money. So they tell people what they want to hear. You want to celebrate New Year's January 1st? You want to come to church and feel good and then go to the club? You go to church and you leave church 11:30, right? And you head straight from church to the club? Or you go to church and you stay at church until watch night service is over, right? You stay there till midnight. And then after watch night service is over, you go to the club. See, if you're able to do that, you're good. So that's the reason why a lot of our people don't want to hear this truth. And the preachers don't want to tell the people the truth. Because trust me, this is not groundbreaking information. These preachers and pastors, I would say the majority of them, especially those that have actually gone through seminary, they have to know this. It's impossible for us to know this, and they don't know this. They've spent thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, to go to seminary school to learn these things or to learn the Bible. This is a part of the Bible. At some point through our seminary school, somebody's going to ask, where in the Bible does it say that Christ is born December 25th? I know that comes up. Where in the Bible does it say New Year's is January 1st? I know it comes up because pastors and preachers are confronted with this by lay people all the time. So they ask the questions to these professors. And the professors tell them the truth, but they also teach them how to circumvent it. Yeah, you can tell your congregation that December 31st is not really the New Year in the Bible, but we're under grace, we're under mercy, and we live in America, and America's New Year is January 31st, so that's what we're really doing, which is just talking around it. That's all it is, because America says in God we trust on their money. So if they trust in God, America's New Year should not be January 1st either. So there's no circumventing it whatsoever. There's no excuse. Now, I want you guys to notice something. Saturnalia and Capricorn both worship Saturn. It's both Saturn worship. I want you guys to look at the zodiac sign Capricorn. Its ruler is Saturn. Capricorn, the dates begin December 22nd. What does that let you know? December 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. The 25th is Christmas. So we're taught, or we know, that to worship or celebrate Christmas is to observe Saturnalia. Why? Because Christmas falls during the sign of Capricorn, whose ruler is Saturn. So that makes sense. But what most people don't know is it doesn't just stop at December 25th. It extends all the way to January 19th, which means January 1st is also under the sign of Capricorn, which means it's also Saturn worship too. It's a part of Saturnalia too. The same thing, which makes it just as pagan as Christmas. Saturn encompasses Christmas and it encompasses New Year. It's all Saturn worship, all of it. Just know that. Tell that to somebody in church, though. They're not trying to hear that. The same people that go to church is the same people that believe in these zodiac signs. It's the same people that will go to a site. You go to your pastor on Sunday and have your pastor lay hands on you and fall out, talk about you have the Holy Ghost speaking in tongues, rolling on the floor, foaming at the mouth on Sunday. And then on Friday, you're going to go to a psychic to have them read your palm, right? To tell you your future. They can't tell you the number, but they can tell you your future. And all the days in between, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, before you go to the psychic, every day you buy the newspaper and you turn it straight to the pages that talk about your zodiac for the day. It tells you don't cross the street, don't go outside. When you go outside, if you do go outside and you go to the store, play lottery numbers 10, 15, and 30. Those are your lucky numbers, but nobody ever hits the number. A lot of you sisters go to these psychics, and every psychic is telling you that your man is cheating on you, every last one of them. Because that's what you want to hear anyway. That's why you went. That's what you want to hear. They know that, so that's what they're going to tell you. That's what they're going to tell you. And that's all you need to hear, whether it's happening or not. It's all worship of the daggone devil, all of it. Can't tell the people in the churches that, though. So since you don't want to listen to me, I'm going to call him a D-list celebrity at the time. Tells you the same thing that we've been trying to tell you. And he said it on a very big platform, which is Vlad TV on YouTube, which has 5 million plus subscribers. So it ain't like black people have not heard. Vlad's main audience is black people, young black people, people that listen to rap music and hip hop and grew up in that culture. So they're exposed to this information. It's not just coming from Israelites who they hate. This is coming from rappers and celebrities. Some of them know it too.
Well, in your new song,
Fair Use, Fair Use.
Well, the last song you put out, King Judah.
Right.
You said in the chorus,
Chingy was an Israelite. This is the guy Chingy from St. Louis. He was he had I wouldn't even call it 15 minutes of fame. I'm going to go and say he had about 5 minutes of fame. He had that song called Right There. Yeah, and he had another song. I forgot what the hell it was called. That's how I know for a fact that his run wasn't too long. But I remember that a few years ago, maybe but now about 10 years ago, not even a few, he called himself Coming Into the Truth, acknowledging he was an Israelite. That lasted for, I wouldn't even say 6 months. And then within 6 months of him being an Israelite, then he jumped on that whole conscious community, metaphysical bandwagon. And now he's back being MIA. So we don't know where the hell this guy is. But when he was in his Israelite bag for that short amount of time, he made a record called King Judah, which Vlad is going to question him about. That's what he's questioning him about right now. Let's go.
Well, the last time you put out King Judah,
right?
You said in the chorus. You
and
said,
by the way, just for the record, this proves that Vlad knows about the Israelites. He knows about the Israelites. That's why he's so salty at Kyrie for what Kyrie did. Love him or hate him. That's why he's so salty at Kanye for what Kanye said about the Judah being black. Love him or hate him, and we know Kanye's out of his mind half the time. He's off his meds half the time, whatever the situation might be with the brother. Only the Most High knows. But at periods of time, the Most High could use anybody to take a message mainstream. And so he's familiar. Whether he tries to act like he's not, he's familiar with this movement. And at the time he brought Chingy on, Chingy was claiming Israelite. That's how we know he knows. But he'll never bring on an Israelite that actually knows the doctrine, that actually can defend the doctrine. You don't want that conversation. So he brings on somebody like this that was unstable the whole time, which is why he fell out just as fast as he came in. But nevertheless, the Most High used him too. Let's go.
Well, the last time you put out King Judah,
right?
You said in the chorus, you said, "Got them Gentiles busting at me." Now, a Gentile, from what I understand, is a non-Jew.
But Europeans.
Europeans?
Yeah, Gentiles. They not Jews. They worship Saturn. That's what Satan is, just Saturn in the Bible. And we talking about the Vatican and all of them. They worship Satan, and that's Saturn. Gentiles are not Jews, but when you think about it, Jews come from the Judah. So even the people who think they Israelites, yeah, you still of that because you're born in one of those zodiacs. So you still of that, but you're taking it literally, and you're not supposed to take it literally. Even in the Bible, it says these are allegory. You know what an allegory is? It's a made-up story that got a deeper meaning.
So you said that the Vatican worships Satan.
The Vatican worships Saturn. The Vatican worships Dagon, a fish god. And it goes back to, you know, if you ever know anything about the Assyrians and the Sumerians, and if you know anything about that, Dagon was this fish god. And the Vatican now, you gotta always look at things with knowing that they have a deeper meaning. Like I spend every day studying this stuff. Even from the robes that they wear, the black robes in the churches, you see I forgot what they call it, but you see the priests and stuff wearing them black robes. Those robes represent Saturn. They'll never tell you this. And I ain't finna even get really too deep into all that. I'm just touching on it a little bit to give people, a little awareness so they can go do some research in it themselves. Like a lot of these things that I've learned, it's a lot of good people out there that got a lot of knowledge, like Dr. Phil Valentine.
And that's where he went off. That's where he went off because he's spitting Israelite stuff, but then the people that he was actually quoting right now, these are not Israelites. These are the guys that's into that metaphysics stuff, which is why he wound up falling out the truth as soon as he came in.
Dr. Clark, Booker T. Coleman, Jordan Maxwell, Lloyd Pye, Michael Tellinger, Santos Bonacci. It's a lot of people.
All these people that he was listening to, that's why he wasn't in the truth long. And the little bit that he said, there was some truths in what he said as far as the worship of Saturn, the Roman Catholic Church, so forth and so on. That was definitely true. But the scripture he quoted, which speaks about these things are an allegory, That has nothing to do with Saturn. That's Galatians chapter 4, and that's talking about the two covenants, the new covenant and the old covenant. It has nothing to do with Saturn whatsoever. So he wasn't qualified to get up there to really have that conversation from a biblical perspective. When he was talking about how the Roman Catholic Church and their worship of Saturn and Christmas and it being part of Saturn and New Year's being part of Saturn, that stuff is true. That's true. But when you try to tie the Bible in, you got to make sure you tie it in correctly. And that scripture he quoted is not. And a lot of our people follow behind guys like this. And we constantly tell these celebrities not to do this. You get out there and try to teach the doctrine before you have a grasp on the doctrine and get out there and say stupid stuff. And where is he now? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Saturn worship is really Horus worship. I need for you guys to know that. Saturn has the head of a bull corresponding to its traditional Egypt name, Horus, bull of the sky. Jupiter has the head of a falcon with two cow horns, a disc, and two feathers, or simply two horns. But I want you guys to know, Saturn actually goes all the way back to Horus. That's what it does. It goes back to Horus. I told you all these gods that the Romans and the Greeks worship go back to Egypt and really go back to Babylon. The Romans just gave them different names. And guess what? A lot of those gods are worshipped today and just given different names in our modern times. And a lot of our people don't do research, so they wind up worshiping these pagan deities like Santa Claus and everything that goes along with Christmas and all the demonology that goes along with it, and Halloween and all the demonology that goes with it, and New Year's and all the demonology that goes with it, and Valentine's Day and Easter. Nothing but pagan deities behind all these. And our people worship it, and they don't know. They don't do no research because they just want to be entertained. See, the Most High warned us about these things. This is the book of Leviticus chapter 18, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, where ye dwelt, shall ye not do. So we weren't supposed to worship the gods that we saw in Egypt or keep any of their customs. The problem is, we went into the land, we violated the Most High. So the Most High allowed these other nations to put us in subjection, and we wound up being forced to worship these pagan deities anyway. And that goes for all the captivities we were in right up to America. Because everything we know about the Most High when we were in slavery was taught to us by the slave masters, who were really worshiping pagan deities that go all the way back to Egypt, where the Most High said we shouldn't worship. So we wound up in the midst of worshiping these pagan deities by extension because we broke God's laws. So we were scattered. And under these nations, we wound up doing the very thing that the Most High told us not to do as punishment, which is why we're at the bottom. Because we're the ones that made the covenant with the Most High that we would do everything in the book. That's why being obedient to the Most High is so important. That's why we're so passionate about teaching our people to repent. It's the only way out of this captivity. You got to drop everything you know and start all over. Christ said you have to be born again through the Apostle Paul. You got to be born again. No, Christ told Nicodemus in John chapter 3, you have to be born again. Nicodemus took it literally, like you have to go back into your mother's womb. No, but you got to become like a little child all over again and drop everything you know. Because anything you know, as you know it, you may think is harmless. But when you study it, you're going to realize it's pagan. 9 out of 10 times. And we're still learning things. It was only in the last, I've been in this Israelite war for a minute. It was only within the last, I want to say 10 to 15 years that Israelites realized that the custom of wearing wedding rings is pagan. That goes back to pagan. Israelite women, Israelite customs was not a wedding ring. There's nothing wrong with jewelry or rings. But that was not our custom. That custom comes from the other nations. And you had Israelite camps and leaders that fought against it for years until they started doing research. So every little thing, sometimes you think it's harmless, but a lot of this stuff goes back to pagan deities and Satanism. It does. That's why studying and researching is so very important. Even certain phrases that we say sometimes go back to pagan deities. The whole entire English language is nothing but a demonic spell. That's why when you write words out, it's called spelling. Words are spells. You say certain things sometimes, and you don't even know what the hell it is you're saying. The clothes you wear, pagan. A lot of times, you don't even know the names of clothes, of companies. Go back to pagan deities. And you don't even know. Our people have been seduced. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. We're the righteous. The Israelites are the righteous. Why? Because we receive God's laws. So our righteousness is keeping the commandments of God. So we're more righteous than all the other nations that was around us and all the other nations that were created. We're more righteous than them. But the way of the wicked seduceth them. Our people have been seduced by all these different societies that we find ourselves in. A lot of our people have been seduced by these customs and these ways, and we don't even know it. Even some of us in the truth. Even when we find out certain things, we're slow to move away from the things that we find out because we've been so seduced and become so comfortable in doing certain things. Like I went over yesterday about the dietary law, right? I went over how in the book of Leviticus chapter 11 and Deuteronomy chapter 14, the Most High tells us you can't even touch the carcass of dead swine. And I pulled up that article about the 180 uses of the pig. And I guarantee you that everybody that was listening can check one of those boxes that of you actually still dealing with the carcass of a pig, whether you realize it or not, just by buying a bottle of wine and pulling the cork out. That cork is a lot of times made out of coagulated blood or the intestines of a pig. The laundry detergents you wash your clothes with, the powder and the liquid and the fabric softener is pig. Unless you're buying the organic ones. It's pig. Why do you think it's on sale? Why do you think you could go to Dollar Tree, Dollar General? I know they have them up here in the Northeast. I don't know if they have the Dollar Tree, Dollar General down south or out west. But I'm sure y'all have companies similar to that. You go up in there and you can get things for $1, $2, whatever like that. And you go like, wow, you can find you some laundry softener, some off-brand laundry softener, and some fabric softener and some detergent, off-brand. And it's much cheaper than what you would find in a higher brand, like a ShopRite or something, or a Winn-Dixie's. I'll give y'all that for those of y'all that are in Florida, right? You go buy the off-brand joint because it's cheaper. What you think is in that? Pig. We've been seduced by the ways of the wicked. On a low level, all the way up to following after their customs on a high level. Their holy days and everything that goes with it. And so a lot of our people don't want to leave that alone. So we have to be thankful to the Most High that the Most High allowed us and was merciful enough for us to hear the truth, however we heard it, and to acknowledge it for being the truth. We didn't put our head in the sand like an ostrich. We saw the truth, or we saw something coming and we just put your head in the ground like an ostrich. We didn't do that. We had to acknowledge the truth for being the truth and to change and to do better. You know? So we have to give the Most High praise for that, because most of our people, they're not able to do that. Real quick, I want to go to the book of Romans chapter 11, if I could, real quick. Romans chapter 11. I want to read that real quick. This is Romans chapter 11, starting from verse 1. It says, I say then, have God cast away his people? Who is God's people? We're about to find out. I'm not going to tell you the Bible. Paul is going to tell you. God forbid. For I also am an Israelite. So that's who's God's people, the Israelites. Of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin, God hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Watch ye not what the scriptures saith of Elias, which is Elijah, how he maketh intercession to God against Israel? Lord, they have killed thy prophets and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so then, at this present time, during Paul's time, and this is true of us today, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. The Most High has always left a remnant. He tells you that in the book of Isaiah chapter 1 verse 9 as well. The Most High left a remnant, else we would have been as Sodom and Gomorrah. Verse 6. And if by grace, then there's no more of works. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then it is no more grace. Otherwise, work is no more work. Verse number 7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for? What is our people seeking for right now? We're seeking for the truth, first and foremost, right? So that the Most High can have mercy on us and deliver us from his captivity. So we're seeking the truth. We're seeking for the Most High to have mercy on us and redeem us. It says, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. The majority of our people were blinded. The very fact that you are in this truth means possibly you are of the elect. Why do I say possibly? Because you have to endure to the end. That's Matthew chapter 24. You have to endure to the end. Because the same way you come in is the same way you could fall out. I've seen thousands, that's not an exaggeration, thousands of brothers and sisters fall out the truth over the years and go back to their vomit. So they were not of the election. The Most High gave them what the Bible calls a dispensation of the gospel. That's it. For a time, for a dispensation, they were in the truth, and the Most High utilized them in this truth to do certain things, and then the Most High weeded them out. So just because you're here doesn't mean that you are of the elect, but it's possible that you are of the elect. So we should be thankful for the Most High that you're possibly of the elect and try to endure. Because the rest of our people are blinded. You can hold up a book in front of a blind person's eyes and they're not going to be able to see it because they just can't see it. The book is literally right in front of their face, right in front of their eyes. You can wave your hands in front of a blind person's eyes. They can't see it. You're literally doing it. It's right there. They should be able to see it, but they're blind. So you could show 100 people these facts that we just saw. We could go to dictionaries. We could pull out books. We could go into antiquity. We could go into the Bible and show you everywhere you look, the New Year's was celebrated in the spring, and the Romans changed that to January 1st in commemoration of Saturn. It's everywhere. But they're blind. They're not going to be able to see it. Just like a blind person can't see you waving in front of their face. It is what it is. Verse 8. According as it is written, God had given them a spirit of slumber. That comes from the Most High. Eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day. And David saith, let their table be made a snare and a trap, and a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back always. It's payback. Because these are the children, believe it or not, this is a spiritual thing. We can't see it with our carnal eyes. But these are the children of the people that killed the prophets. These are the children of the people that was against David and all the prophets. That was against Moses. And David prayed a prayer for recompense against the traitors of our nation, the ones that killed the prophets. So when you see some of our people not being able to wake up, they just can't wake up no matter what. It's recompense. That's what it is. It's a spiritual thing. It's deep. Everybody can't receive that, but that's what it is. Certain things you see happening to some of our people is judgment. You can't see it with your carnal eyes, but it's judgment. You're watching the news and something tragic happens to somebody, like, oh my God, that's so tragic that happened to that person. I'm going to tell you something. Some of these people are some of the same people that come in front of the camps and give us hell. And we forget about it. We don't remember a face. Whatever the situation might be, and years later, judgment comes in one way or another. And we don't forget, but the Most High did not forget. He didn't forget. It's a recompense. We'll understand it when Yahweh Shai come back. He'll show it to us. But the men of the Lord understand this. We're sitting here, and because we're conditioned to be emotional, we see certain things, and we're like, wow, that's so tragic. But you don't know what somebody was doing in the dark. Some of these people will be the same ones on the comment boards cursing us out, on Clubhouse cursing us out, coming and scoffing in front of the camps or doing other wicked stuff against Israelites. We don't see it, but the Most High sees it. And the Most High sends one of the angels to take action, like get him or get her. And we just see the judgment. So we're like, wow, that's so sad. But hey, it's a spiritual thing. That's why everybody, this truth is a hard pill to swallow. That's why everybody can't be in it. Because you can't be emotional being in this truth at all. You can't. Men of the Lord are stoic men. They're stoic. Their emotions don't get too high or too low. They're generally, usually the same temperament most of the time to be a man of the Lord. Because you can't get too high or too low. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be cut from a certain cloth to be of that spirit, man. Right? Verse 10. And let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back always. That's a recompense. So we got to give the Most High thanks that we were able to see these things. I give the Most High thanks. I can remember as a teenager and things of that nature, like wanting to go down to, I never did it. I'm from New York, and I've never been in Times Square in New Year's Eve. But I desired to go, just never did it because I hated crowds. But I remember wanting to go to parties and wanting to participate with what the world had going on. You know, a lot of times that's what it was all about, getting some alcohol, going to a party, maybe getting a girl or something like that. That's what it was all about. A whole bunch of nothing. Right? And then one day somebody put the bug in my ear about this Israelite thing, and it's been a wrap ever since. And, you know, me coming into this truth, I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm about to wrap it up. But me coming into this truth was by happenstance, man. I wasn't even looking for this truth. I was making music, doing music, and one of the guys I was doing music with was actually coming to the school and invited me, right? That's how I got there. So I always say to myself, if it wasn't for the music thing, I mean, if the Most High really wanted me, it would have happened another way. But if it wasn't for the music thing, you know, I may not have come to the truth at the time that I did. So I give the Most High all praise, honor, and glory for that, because I'm glad I came in when I did. So I was able to experience and see everything I did over the years in Israel to have a better view and understanding of what this truth is. Having been through all the ups and downs and endured, I can help and guide other brothers and sisters through the turbulent times of being an Israelite, when all the hell breaks loose in this nation, when there are splits, you know what I'm saying, there's chaos, people leaving the truth and falling from the faith and so forth and so on. I could be a rock and a strength for people that may not be as strong or rooted as I am, because I've already seen that 100 times. So the Most High knew what he was doing. So I give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High for that. Like I said, I wasn't going to be before you guys too long. I started at 8 o'clock, and now it's 9:20, and I've really been talking for like the last 5 minutes. So we're going to end it right there. Like I said, New Year's is New Year's. Everybody knows it's pagan. So I'll leave it right there. Elder Zahab, you have anything that you want to add? Oh, you're backstage, Slakia. I remember you telling me that. Okay, you back now. You have anything that you wanted to add, Zahab?
Yeah, man, repent, Virgin, repent. You brought everything out. That video you played talking about the yo-yo effect, I wanted to get in and touch on it, but you know, it's all good. When the people rewatch that video, it's powerful. It's very powerful. So but I don't have anything to add, King.
Yeah, when you drop out of StreamYard, the video was in the middle of playing, I was like, damn, if I let you back in, I gotta stop the video and let you back in. So StreamYard is a little ill.
King, it's all good. It's all good. Nah, it's all good, man. You know, it's just certain things that you was touching on. It just all dovetails because, you know, on Tuesdays I do the class with the calendar and stuff like that, and I brought out a lot of that stuff, like Pope Leo VIII and the Gregorian calendar and all of that. It just all you know, it all comes together. All praise to the Most High, man. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to touch on the fact that Leo, that same Pope, he's the one that also instituted the intercalary. You know what I'm saying? Because the Julian calendar, they touched on it, but they never went into it. And Pope Leo VIII, I believe, he was the one that really cemented the fact about the intercalary month and so on and so forth. So I wanted to bring that out, but I will revisit that on, you know, for brothers and sisters in Lions of Israel for my class and stuff like that. But excellent class, King. All praise to the Most High.
All praise to the Most High. Yeah. So for those of y'all that's listening that don't know, Zahab is the one that does our calendars yearly. So let me just go to it real quick. I always like to bring it up because, you know, maybe somebody new listening. So let's go to our website real quick. So this is our website, thelionsofisrael.com. Oh, I got to share my screen. Hold on a second, y'all. So there it is. This is our website, thelionsofisrael.com. So if you want to find out about the calendar, which, like I said, Zahab is the one that puts it together every year, you come to the tab that says More. You click on where it says Calendar. You give it a little chance to refresh, right? And then you have the tab at the top where you can actually go forward to 2024. You guys can see that we're here now, December 31st. So let's go ahead and go to January just as an example. You guys can see we have the Shabbats on there, right? We have the new moons on there, so forth and so on. So January is pretty quiet outside of the new moons and the Shabbats. February is pretty quiet as well outside of the new moons. And right around the middle, towards the end of February, that's when we are observing Purim, which is February 22nd. Now, some camps may have it a few days earlier or 1 or 2 days later. Like I said, not really a big deal for us. We're not contentious about stuff like that. All right.
Exactly, priest. Right. And if I could interject, because what you said is so timely, because, you know, you got some congregations, they're observing Feast of Dedication right now, as a matter of fact. And it's important to let, you know, the people know we don't get hung up on that, because as again, that video with the yo-yo effect, I got to go rewatch that because it's powerful. Because you see, the new year gets keep pushed back from January 1st to April 1st, and from the Gregorian to the Julian. So when you see congregations talking about they're observing this feast day on a certain time, don't get discouraged, don't get caught up, don't get into a back and forth. Well, it's on this day, it's on that. Yahushua is going to come back. He's going to institute the original calendar, and we're going to observe all these feast days in the right time. But for now, the most important thing is you're rehearsing the righteous acts, and you're just keeping it in the spirit of the Most High. That's it, man.
And we're doing these holy days as a memorial, because some of these holy days are really supposed to be celebrated in the borders of Israel when we have a tabernacle or a temple. And so they're supposed to be celebrated within the borders. So what we're doing is we're keeping the memorial at this time, just continuing the tradition going and observing the days in terms of giving the Most High his praise for delivering us. So yeah, we don't need to be too contentious. When you guys toggle a little further through March, you guys can see March is pretty quiet. Then in April,
yeah, that's where the intercalary comes in.
Okay.
And then we jump into April. Go ahead.
Then in April, we have Passover, April the 21st of 2024. So yeah, Zahab has done a great job over the years of putting the calendar together. We've definitely taught the brothers that are in the academy and in the camp how to put the calendar together, how we come up with these dates, right? If any of you brothers and sisters are part of a camp, you really should be asking your leadership how they come up with dates, because you guys are training to be priests. And so you want to know, you don't want to just be a professional student. You want to actually know how these things come about. So we definitely try to teach the brothers in the camp how to do it. Maybe one day, if the Spirit leads Zahab, he'll do the class publicly on the channel for everybody to see. I'll leave that up to him. And also just know, one thing I'll give it to you. And also know, we don't live on an island. So when he does the calendar, he also consults with a couple of other camp leaders as well, just to see that, make sure that we're kind of thinking along the same lines. So we don't live on an island alone. That's why our calendar reflects quite a few other camps as well, because we all are working together and looking at, checking each other's work. And that's how we come up with the dates that we come up with. You gonna say something?
Nah, I just wanted to land back on that and say exactly, because if you know what, I don't want to call out certain congregations, but our calendar lines up perfectly with at least 4 or 5, congregations. So it's not, like you said, it's not us on an island alone. You know what I'm saying? So, the most important thing is you as an Israelite, you're not caught up in Esau's Babylonian customs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw a video, priest. I don't know if you even mentioned this in your class. I saw a video where the whole idea of making New Year's resolutions, so to speak, because every year people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. That goes back to the Babylonian system where they would make their resolutions to their gods. I never even knew that. I'm like, God damn. So even though I was ignorant and I was in the world like a lot of us, right? And I would say, you know what? My resolution is I'm gonna hit the gym. I'm gonna lose some weight. I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna be more responsible, this and that. That goes back to people pledging to their gods with a lowercase g, because we know it's only one, right? But that's crazy, man. So the thing is, irregardless of what congregation you're a part of, and regardless of if the calendar might be here or there, a day or two off, whatever the case may be, just understand we're in the spirit of the Most High. We're trying to be in the spirit of truth, and we're coming out of Babylon. We're coming out of Egypt. We're coming out of Rome, right? All these nations that had us, the Israelites, as captives, as slaves. We're coming out of that. So that's the bottom line.
Absolutely, man. So all praise to the Most High for that. So maybe in the future we'll touch on that a little bit more in a class on one of the channels. Like I said, Zahab will, let me know if and when he wants to do something like that. All right. So lastly, as always, I always make sure to tell you, brothers and sisters, to make sure when you come to our website, the Lines of Israel, you guys look around. All right. There's PDF books here. You guys hear me teaching history. There's PDF books available for you guys to download for free. And I know we've been meaning to upload more, but but we're definitely going to upload more because I have hundreds of PDFs. So look at that. Of course, we have the Russian icons that we put here. We definitely want to put some more of those up here as well. So bear with us. The website is definitely growing. It's just that we're busy people, and we only can do but so much, but it's growing. So just pray for us, continue to support us. And of course, under the More tab is the donations tab. Everybody that's continued to support us and send donations, we appreciate y'all. There's different ways. There's PayPal, there's Zelle, there's Cash App. Brothers and sisters have definitely been supporting us, and it means the world to us. We put all this effort in and work really hard to teach the people, and we thank y'all. And y'all help us out by doing that so that we can help other people, because that's what we use it for, to help other people and to push the work of the Most High forward. That's what we do. So with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I'm going to say peace and blessings to everybody. Again, thank you, brothers and sisters, for watching. We appreciate y'all. May the Most High bless y'all. You know, if you're home, stay home, man. Stay safe. You know what I'm saying? Don't get out in them streets with all these wild people out there, because I'm pretty sure tomorrow you guys are going to be reading the paper or looking at the news and seeing all the chaos that took place, how many people have died senselessly overnight for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So you and your family just stay together, chill out, relax, use it as a time to relax. It's an extra day to relax. You know what I'm saying? And you was gonna say something, Tom?
Yeah, man. This clown Tyrone the Master is in the chat, man. Typing all type of foolishness, bro. I never understand Israelites who come on other Israelite channels and you know, while they're giving their presentation and choose to try to spam us. You know what I'm saying? So get yourself right, man. Get your mind right.
He doesn't have an audience. That's what it is. He doesn't have an audience.
Christ is not a camp. Is not in a camp.
We never said, you know, it's so funny. You make that's what you call a straw man argument. I don't think anybody in the history of man has ever said Christ was in a camp. But guess what? The Bible don't say that we can't be in a camp. A camp is no different than a church. Are there churches mentioned in the Bible?
Yes.
Was there a church in Galatia? Was there a church in Philippi? Was there a church in Corinth? Yes. So a camp, church, it doesn't matter what word you use. It's just a body of people that come together with similar beliefs. Like, you dudes be so stupid. So stupid. Arguing, straw man arguments and arguing for the sake of arguing. And you know why you come on other Israelites' page? Because you guys don't have an audience. That's what we know. You don't have an audience.
Yeah, and
nobody listens to you. So you gotta come here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and probably be the same one go put on a green hat with the 2024 glasses and be in Times Square talking crap, right?
He probably is in Times Square, Texas. Right in the chat as he's in Times Square. It's all right, brother. It's cool.
It's gonna be all right.
You know what, you're an Israelite, brother. So we love you anyway, bro. Even though you guys hate us, we love you. And for you to spend your time watching people that you don't agree with for however long you're watching, that speaks for itself, man. So all praise to the Most High. We out of here. We appreciate you, brothers and sisters that support the channel, like we said. And make sure you guys are back Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly Sabbath class. For Elder Zahab and myself, Lions of Israel, we say shalom, and we will see you guys next week, if it be the Most High's will. Shalom.
I don't believe in God. It doesn't matter. He believes in you.
I absolutely believe in God. Let me tell you why. True story. They say I act like my mother's son. That's what Mount Vernon was the streets that I love to run. Found myself on the wrong side of someone's gun. Breathing hard, but I made it. Yep. Damn right, I believe in God.
Every time I try to get out the game, it's like somebody keeps pulling me back in. They don't want me to leave. Can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. It's what they're telling me, but I don't know because this game is full of jealousy. I can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. It's what they're telling me, but I don't know because this game is full of jealousy. Rap is dead, it's too late to restore its true state. MCs are too fake because truth's the new hate. Rare, nobody's rhymes are potent. For those whose eyes are open, can see the game is full of liars and these liar Cohens. Now that's an omen numer, that means a name sign. How they claim that they woke but sleep the same time. How they claim that they flow but they not impressive. How they claim rap evolved, they ain't no fossil records. But they push that, and so I push back and reminisce about the days when they made good rap. and the beats were fire. Had to adjust the volume. Now you gotta mumble or sell a couple thousand. Yup, the game has changed. There ain't no standards. You gotta wear tight jeans and rock a man purse. But I'm killing them up in my street clothes. Second verse, watch, I'll drop the cheat code. Can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. It's what they're telling me, but I don't know because this game is full of jealousy. I can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. It's what they're telling me, but I don't know because this game is full of jealousy. And I don't mean to sound boastful, but when she sings, she make it sound so soulful. So I made an anthem for my corner vest. These verses ain't my single, they're just my warm-up sets. I praise Yahweh on the psaltery. I sacrifice, so don't think that you can alter me. Get a sacrifice, and I said all to me. Misunderstood, they speaking Paul to me. And switch my style from random gun lines to knowledge top with a slight sprinkle of punchlines. And I'm not ashamed, I tell them we don't care. Flow is tight like outfits that Migos wear. And you know that that isn't right. In the dark, what good is a hidden light? And the end is near, so we sent the fishes. And I speak the truth because I know the scriptures. The game needs me. I can't leave the game alone, y'all. The game needs me. They keep pulling me back in. Can't leave rap alone, the game needs me. I try to get out this game, it ain't easy. The game needs me. It really